Beloved chosen one, I am Michael, and today I want to speak with you about spiritual warfare, because I have watched you fighting battles you did not fully recognize as battles at all. I need 8 minutes of your attention today, because I believe understanding what you are actually facing will change how you fight it. I want to speak plainly first. Beloved chosen one, not every struggle in your life is simply circumstantial. Some of what you are experiencing, the sudden discouragement that arrives without clear cause, the relational tension that flares up right before something significant, the exhaustion that settles in precisely when you are closest to a breakthrough, carries a spiritual weight that deserves to be recognized rather than dismissed as mere coincidence. I want to talk about the tactics that are commonly used against you, because I believe recognizing a pattern is the first step toward resisting it effectively. The first tactic is discouragement, arriving with unusual intensity, specifically timed to convince you to quit right before progress becomes visible. If you have noticed your motivation collapsing at suspiciously convenient moments, right before a breakthrough, right after a step of obedience, I want you to recognize that timing for what it often is. The second tactic is division, quietly working to create tension in relationships that were previously stable, planting suspicion, exaggerating small offenses, isolating you from people who would otherwise support you through difficulty. Beloved chosen one, if you have noticed unusual strain in important relationships during a season of significant growth, examine whether that strain is being manufactured rather than organically arising from genuine conflict. The third tactic is distraction, filling your time and attention with things that are not necessarily sinful, but that quietly crowd out the prayer, reflection, and stillness you actually need during a critical season. I want to speak to how you actually resist these tactics, because recognizing them is only the first step. Beloved chosen one, resistance begins with awareness, simply naming what is happening rather than accepting every negative thought or circumstance as an unquestionable final truth about your life. When discouragement arrives suddenly and disproportionately, pause and ask yourself honestly whether this feeling accurately reflects your actual circumstances, or whether it has arrived specifically to derail you at a critical moment. I want to talk about prayer as a weapon, not in a passive sense, but as active, deliberate resistance. Beloved chosen one, prayer is not simply a request list presented and then forgotten. It is a declaration, a refusal to accept the narrative that discouragement or fear is trying to establish as your reality. When you pray specifically against the discouragement, the division, the distraction you are facing, you are actively participating in your own spiritual defense, not passively waiting for circumstances to improve on their own. I want you to say this with me now, beloved chosen one, whether silently or spoken aloud. I recognize that not every struggle I face is merely circumstantial. I refuse to accept discouragement, division, or distraction as the final word over my life. I am covered, and I am equipped to resist what comes against me. My awareness of these tactics is itself a form of protection, and I will not be caught unprepared by patterns I now recognize clearly. I want to speak to the specific tactic of accusation, the relentless inner voice that replays your past mistakes, convincing you that you are disqualified, unworthy, too flawed to be used for anything meaningful. Beloved chosen one, I want you to recognize that voice today for what it actually is. It rarely speaks the full truth. It selectively amplifies failure while ignoring grace, growth, and every instance of genuine progress you have made since. Refusing to rehearse that accusing voice is itself an act of spiritual resistance, not simply positive thinking. I want to talk about community as a form of protection, Because isolation is one of the primary tactics used against people during difficult seasons. Beloved chosen one, if you have found yourself pulling away from trusted relationships during a season of struggle, I want you to gently examine whether that withdrawal is genuinely serving you, or whether it is quietly making you more vulnerable to discouragement that thrives specifically in isolation. Reaching back out, even when it feels difficult, is itself a form of spiritual defense. Now I want to speak to the armor you already carry, a beloved chosen one: truth, righteousness, peace, faith, and the specific word that speaks directly against the lies you are currently facing. This armor is not primarily about external ritual. It is about internal posture, choosing truth over deception, choosing peace over anxiety, choosing faith over the fear that circumstances sometimes try to instill. If this message has reached you at exactly the right time today, comment the words, "I recognize the battle," so that others facing these same patterns without fully understanding them can find this reminder. I also want to speak to the fear that naming spiritual warfare might make you appear extreme or overly dramatic to people around you who do not share this understanding. Beloved chosen one, you do not need everyone to validate what you are experiencing in order for it to be real. Quietly recognizing and resisting these patterns does not require public announcement or debate. It simply requires your own internal clarity and consistent private resistance. Before I leave you today, I want you to think of someone in your life who might be facing discouragement, division, or accusation without fully recognizing what is actually happening to them. Reach out to them today, beloved chosen one. Sometimes the most valuable thing you can offer someone is simply helping them name a pattern they have been experiencing without fully understanding it. Beloved chosen one, you are not fighting these battles unarmed, and you are not fighting them alone. Recognizing the tactics used against you is not paranoia. It is wisdom, and wisdom has never once been something to apologize for. Subscribe if this message reached you today, beloved chosen one, because tomorrow I return with another message meant exactly for you. Walk in peace and walk in discernment.